in 1904 when these motors were invented. This is as good as they had. And so these are rather large and rather heavy motors. Help put weight on the wheels, which helped the locomotive have traction power, but it made them rather large and for us kind of heavy to move around. Now, what we have done is we pulled the motors out using the pettibone lifter. They were over on the pit, and the bolts that you see here now, these motors are upside down. So we had to get at a lot of these bolts from the underside in order to get them off of the axles. We then brought them around outside the shop, brought them all the way around and back in here, where we then turned them upside down and loosened a lot of the bolts. We found that many of these bolts probably hadn't been loosened for ever, 50 years or something like that, or maybe more than that. And a lot of them were rusted in place, and we had to heat them red hot, and then with a large wrench and hammering on a wrench and so forth, we were able to loosen most of them. The ones that we couldn't loosen up, with a cutting torch we would slit here and here, and we were able to knock the nuts off. And believe it or not, even with a cutting torch, the threads were actually not bothered, and we're going to restore many of the bolts. They're not a high-strength bolt. What they did in the old days is they made them thicker with heavier nuts than you would normally use for the same purpose now. These are coarse threaded ones. They would use a fine thread now in a grade 8 bolt. I don't know what grade these would be equivalent to now. But we hope to use most of them over again, and so we're rethreading them and basically bringing them back to usable purpose. Now the motor, it's a split frame motor. This is upside down. There's a top down here and a bottom, and this is meant so that in the pit you could swing this down. There was a nut here and an eye bolt here and on the other side also. So this was the hinge side, and with the jack underneath it you let the bottom down, and then you could get at the inside of the motor. And then if you needed to, you could take the armature off. Now you can shine over here on this one. This is, again, upside down. I'll get on the other side.